the Trump show at an absolute raging climax. I don't even know if this is the climax, the culmination of all of the investigations, at least for now. Donald Trump in New York City, scheduled to soon make his way to the court in New York City where he will be fingerprinted, where he theoretically will have a mugshot taken, where he will enter in a not guilty plea to the 30-plus charges that have been levied against him by New York City attorney Alvin Bragg, District Attorney Alvin Bragg. So, Buck, as we prepare for this, let me just give you a little bit of a rundown of what we've got going on. We'll break all of this down for you, probably in as intelligent, hopefully more intelligent fashion than almost anywhere else in media. Our producer, Allie, is going to be calling in from the courthouse, outside the courthouse, where there is pure chaos. There are suggestions that Trump may speak, Buck, before and after his arraignment to the gathered media masses. Then he is going to speak, I believe, unless plans have changed, at 8:15 Eastern back in Mar-a-Lago when he returns to Florida. He spent the night at Trump Tower in Manhattan. And this is going to be Marjorie Taylor Greene, currently, I believe, speaking and involved in a rally. Buck and I both just talked to Allie, and again, she will speak with you from the scene at 12:30. We will go to her. We'll probably go to her multiple times during the course of the program. She said there are more Trump supporters there than there are counter-Trump supporters, but the overall, as you would well imagine, media contingent is massive, the likes of which we have not seen outside of a courthouse like this. Maybe, I don't think this is crazy, Buck, maybe since the OJ trial. I mean, when you think, I know there have been a lot of high-profile criminal-related matters in this country, but nothing has captured the United States' attention, in my opinion, since the OJ trial, like the Trump show, and the first charges being brought against him, obviously, is going to bring to bear a great deal of attention. So that is where we are, expected in the third hour to officially enter into the courthouse.
You know, there are times in the history of other countries where, in retrospect, you look back and you say, that was a moment when things changed even more than people then realized.
Yes.
And you can see it when you have, the fullness of time has passed and you say, oh, and, a lot of people will look at it as a fascinating period. The cliche about the crossing of the Rubicon with Julius Caesar, if you look at the 100 years leading up to that or so in the Roman Republic and the fall into dictatorship and all that happened there, there were seminal moments. There were points of change. There were times when things were done by those in power where all of a sudden something core and foundational in the Roman Republic had changed. And this may very well be one of those moments. And I don't do the go on radio and overstate and overpromise and say crazy things. That's not how I am. That's not how you are, Clay. But when you look at what's gone on here, you have it's amazing when you line this all up. A former president. The bigger issue is honestly even that he is a current leading presidential candidate, right? They keep saying that to indict a former president, honestly, indicting a former president, that's about pleasantries. That's about good faith.
If he were leaving politics, a former president being indicted wouldn't necessarily be, it'd still be a big historical event.
It'd be a big deal, but it wouldn't be a five-alarm
Correct.
fire. Because what we are seeing isn't just the eradication of the notion of we don't want to even seem like we're doing this if somebody had been president, that there's a political targeting going on. This is actively, we will not relinquish power to your guy. We're going to prosecute him during the election cycle.
Yes.
And you have to also put this in the context of Hillary Clinton violated clear law with her. And people can argue this till they're blue in the face. There is recklessness in the statute. If over 100 top secret emails transversing the server that she had is not a violation of the Espionage Act as it stands. There is no violation of the Espionage Act as it stands. Comey saved her butt. We all know what happened, and he wasn't even allowed to do it, but he went forward. So you had Hillary, clear violation of law, running against Donald Trump. They lie about Trump with Russia collusion, as we all know, for years, which was honestly the last time there was this amount of spectacle in American politics, from the Democrat side, certainly. And then you add to it that they're effectively trying to nullify the will of the American people in the 2024 election in advance. And then you get into all the other prosecutors who might want to bring a name for themselves by because they'll always be able to say, you get some lunatic. I know he's gone now, but a Chesa Boudin in San Francisco, Larry Krasner's still there in Philadelphia, Kim Fox, right? Fox in Chicago, right? You get some progressive prosecutor who goes, you know what? This Republican upstart in my state, I'm going to send a message. I'm going to bring some totally nonsense charge just to show everybody how devoted to the cause I am now. Does anybody think that's not going to happen now? We have broken through a fourth wall here. We have broken through a major understanding of how our politics works. I don't know how, honestly, I don't know how we fix it. I don't know how this gets fixed. I mean, I think maybe, this turns into a you do to ours, we do to yours, but that gets really ugly fast too.
Yeah. I think one way that it could get fixed is if Trump won and people looked back on it and said, when you do this, it blows up in your face and actually works against you. But we don't know what the outcome is going to be, right? In retrospect, you can go back and say, oh, well, that was the moment where Trump became the favorite clearly to win the Republican nomination.
Can I ask you, though,
yeah.
Real quick, Clay? If that were to happen, if Trump wins, who on the Democrat side admits that he's innocent of the charge or not guilty, as we call it, right? Admits that he's not guilty publicly and suffers the consequences of this. I mean, is there anybody?
We talked about this a little bit. I don't think there's enough discussion going on about what the Democrat reaction would be if Trump won. Because as crazy as they were in 2016, they think they killed the monster, right? Trump is the troll underneath the bed. He is their worst nightmare. If he came back, how would they be even able to handle it? I don't know. And
can I offer you an idea of what I think they'll say? Because I think you approach this like a rational person. You approach this like a person rooted in reality. And I think most of the audience now is also probably thinking that too. This is the men can get periods Democrat Party. So if Trump wins if Trump gets a not guilty verdict out of this, you know what they'll say. It was rigged. They're too scared to actually convict him. The jury
I'm
felt
not even concerned about this case because I don't know. I'm talking about if he wins in 2024.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant if he won the case. I was like, they'll just keep going with that.
This case in particular is such BS that I don't even really care about the outcome. I'm saying when you asked what would be the result, right. I'm saying
wins the election
if he wins the election after charges are brought against him, I think in retrospect people will go back and say that was what strengthened Trump and helped to carry the day for him. Now, this is from Politico this morning, and let me I think we can't impress upon our audience enough. This is truly a day without precedent in the 240-year plus history of the United States. We have never seen what we are going to see today. But Politico, look, make no mistake about what is going on. Democrats are acting in this way because they believe that Trump is a poor nominee for Republicans in 2024. Politico has this paragraph today that I thought was interesting, Buck. Biden advisors are confident swing voters are now permanently out of Trump's reach, according to 4 senior advisors in the White House. This is the question we asked. They have a difficult time imagining that a voter who went for Trump in 2016, but then left him in 2020, would return to cast a ballot for the former president after January 6th, several criminal investigations, and years of election denial. And here's a quote from one of those aides. what possibly would you like about what Trump has done since Election Day 2020, one Biden-aid muse? Now, Buck, this to me is something that I think everybody needs to keep in the back of their minds as this process plays out. Biden wants to go against Trump. Look at the way they're conveying that story in 2020, that quote in particular, that they're trying to get this narrative out there. If 2024 is a referendum on Joe Biden, Democrats lose because Joe Biden has been an awful president. The only way Joe Biden wins is if this is the question. What would you like about what Trump has done since Election Day 2020, one Biden-aid mused? My answer is, what I like about what Trump has done since 2020 is he isn't Joe Biden, right? He isn't the biggest disaster president that any of us have seen in most of our lives. The problem is, you're seeing it right now, Buck, is the Trump show so overwhelming that people don't even care what Joe Biden did, and everything in 2024 is just a referendum on Trump, even though he isn't the incumbent.
There is no capacity for Trump exhaustion in terms of talking about Trump, I should say. There's no capacity for we need to focus on something else from the Democrats. And that means they'll go all in on Trump 24/7, not get tired of it, and they think it is to their benefit. On the right, you get people where their turns, and when I say on the right, really in the center, actually, is what we're talking about, independents. But, center right in the middle, you could argue there is a Trump fatigue. And here is the problem with all of this stuff. On the one hand, this is a massive consolidation of support on the right behind Donald Trump. Obviously, that's going on right now. On the other hand, I think what you could see is the Democrats are able to play once again. What was really the primary narrative for Joe Biden in 2020? Yeah, it was he's not Trump. But what were they saying? Things will go back to normal. And things haven't been good. But the ability to project this as normal and Trump and the Trump machine and the Trump circus as abnormal to independents, not to people who voted for him like you and me and this audience, to independents, that may be what the Democrats are turning this whole game on. That may be what this is really ultimately all about. Trump represents not normal. Vote not Joe Biden. Vote Democrat. Democrat just means things kind of muddle along. Yeah, the economy's not good. Yeah, the border's a mess. Yeah, cities are a disaster. It's not going to be crazy, though. It's not going to be Russia collusion. And I just think they exhaust people with that.
Yeah.
And that's their plan.
And I'll give you an example of this in my own particular life. I was out to, I had Little League Baseball all weekend, Buck. So I was out with one of the other dads, and he said his wife, he's a Trump guy, he said his wife refuses to vote for Trump no matter what. Now, she lives here in Tennessee. She's a suburban mom. It doesn't matter. She's just over Trump. Said, okay, would you vote for anybody else? Any other Republican she would vote for against Joe Biden. How many people out there are like that? That is the question that I think lingers as you watch the Trump show playing out right now. And my goodness, it is one hell of a show.